Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Hawk, and I'm a member of the Borough of Laurel Springs 2013 Centennial Committee. Today we have the privilege of interviewing Robert Moran. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you.
So you can say your name, your address, and
Robert H. Moran. Address now or then? Then. Lived on the corner of Broadway and Arch Street. The house is still there. We were fortunate enough to visit before they had a bad fire. And now the only thing that's left is the original is the walls and the front door. But it's still the same house.
Yes.
In fact, the same garage is still there, but you can't get a car in it nowadays because it's so small.
Oh, okay.
But at that time you could. So my brother and I had a small bedroom upstairs. Don't remember a closet. It was a great time.
And your brother's name was? And your brother's name was?
Gordon.
Gordon.
Gordon
Your parents'
Moran.
names were?
He has passed away. He had 2 kids, and they also lived in Laurel Springs for a while, as my aunt and uncle. The other Morans, William C. Moran, lived on the other side of the tracks. And I say the other side of the tracks because talking to people even now, there seems to be I don't know what you would call it, between who lives on what side of the tracks. But then we thought the snobs lived on the other side and we lived on this side. And I think talking to some people, it's still the same way.
Yes. Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it didn't matter to us kids.
No.
We all went to the same school, and it was great.
And your parents' names were? Your
Marie,
parents, yes, Marie
and James.
James, okay.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Earliest memories? Just being kids. You could walk down the street, no locks, ride your bike, take a shortcut through somebody's yard. We all congregated at Hidden Lake in the summertime. We had lockers. Any holiday was a big time in Alexander's backyard. They had a large tennis court, and after the parades at 4th of July and anything else was a holiday, because then there was, of course, there was no television. So it was just a great time to be together with everybody.
Right, yeah.
And it was just nothing like, it was a family.
Yes.
Until World War II, then it changed.
Right.
But until then, I used to ride up and down Broadway trying to get a look at my future wife when she would be out in the backyard. That was part of growing up.
Mm-hmm. It was cool, though. And what did your future mother-in-law call you? Rubberneck?
Many things.
Rubberneck. When you were looking, Rubberneck. When you were looking for Marion, yeah.
Rubberneck, yes. But we belonged to the Presbyterian Church at that time, and our minister was Reverend someplace there.
Yeah.
But anyhow.
I think it's on the second page, yeah. So, and why did your family move to town? Were your parents raised in town too?
What's that?
Were your parents raised in town too, or where
did
they live before?
No, my father was born in Canada.
Oh.
And my mother was born in Philadelphia, and my father and his brother came to the United States for some reason, and they met in Laurel Springs, and they finally ended up building the house here and lived with my grandmother and grandfather, who also came from Canada. And that's how we all ended up in Laurel Springs.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I never realized that. Yeah, cool. Yeah.
In fact, we went there when we were first married, 64 years ago. We went there on our honeymoon and got to sleep in the bed where my dad slept in.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah, it was really quite an experience.
Now, did you go? What grades did you go to at Laurel Springs School?
We went to.
Don't get anything.
We went to all the grades. From kindergarten. We didn't have kindergarten then. Of course, we had first grade.
Okay.
All the way up to 8th grade. I had the only teachers I can really remember are Miss Fly, who was the 7th grade teacher, and Nani Rogers, who was the 8th grade teacher. And we always used to kid around because Nani Rogers had a wig, a red wig she wore, and we always threatened to put a hook on the door to try to take the wig off every morning, but she'd come and adjust it in the mirror, and school would start.
Oh my goodness.
And the school, of course, then the basement of the school, one side was the boys section and the other side was the girls section. And in the girls section used to be the library, and then in bad weather we were allowed to eat down there because normally we would go home for lunch because everybody lived within at least no more than 10 blocks of the school. And of course Mr. Berger was the custodian at that time. As everybody knows, Mr. Berger. And it was just a great time. Everybody was happy.
And what high school did you go to? What high school did you go to?
I went to Lower Camden County Regional High School. You had a choice of that or Haddon Heights or Collingswood. Of course, the principal, Nani Rogers, was from Collingswood, and she always used to try to push you to go to Collingswood, but you had to ride a bus. But when I went to Overbrook, there was no buses. We just walked. Where now, if you walk more than 2 blocks, it's a burden. But we walked. Right. Snow, rain, or sleet, whatever.
Yeah, that was cool.
So, and I went there until I was in the junior year. And at that time, I think it was 1943, the war had started, and 41 is when I graduated from high school, or from grammar school, and then I went from high school, I joined the Navy. When I become 17, and my mother and father consented, and you had to have your papers signed at that time to get into service at 17. So I joined the Navy and went away to war for 2.5 years.
And where were you?
I served in up and down the East Coast. I went to, my father was a photographer at the time, and I wanted to be in photography, but of course, this being the Navy, I ended up being a diesel engineer on a landing craft, a 36-foot landing craft, which was attached to the APA 93 Barnstable, which was an attack transport. And I guess this day and age, you would say it was the UPS of the South Pacific, because we went anywhere from New Guinea, which is far south we went, as far north as Okinawa and Japan, and many of the islands in between. Several of them we made the invasions, Okinawa for one, Philippines for another. And we delivered any kind of machinery, armament, food, mail, movies, anything that was needed in the South Pacific at that time. And then when the war was over, we made 7 trips from the Philippines or Pearl Harbor to the San Francisco and delivered the troops home. And then after that, we went down the coast and went through the Panama Canal, came up to New York, went to Lido Beach to be discharged, went from Lido Beach back into New York, came home, got off the bus, and the war was over.
Oh
So that was my...
Were you injured or anything? You were never injured in the war?
No, I was very lucky. I was never injured, never even close to getting injured. But of course, people say, did anybody shoot at you? And you don't really know until somebody hits you, if somebody shot at you.
Right, right.
So if you get hit, yeah.
Oh
If you
my
didn't,
gosh.
who knows?
I know. I just can't imagine because, you know,
Yeah.
I didn't know that
But
many people in the war.
myself,
Yeah.
I was very lucky compared to some of the fellows in Laurel Springs. Dick Alexander is one I can remember. All their names are on the monument down in the middle of town that lost their life serving their country.
Yeah, and we are working on updating that memorial of people that aren't on there. So if there are any other people that you know, have them get in touch with me so that, because we're going to update it for 2013. Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yes. Yeah, anybody that, you know, was related to this town in some way or another.
That's what we did that in Clement, and we started one, and it really makes everybody feel good that,
Yes.
and more than once I've gone down there and just sat and looked at the names.
Right.
And it's history.
Yes. Right.
It's
a very important part of our life.
History of the town.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But it's a great town. My dad had a soap business here for a while in the early 30s, I guess, where the next to Euchre's, used to be a Euchre's store where they sold penny candy, and we'd sneak over there at recess from school and buy candy. And then where the building he had was Leeds, and of course.
Oh, the one in Washington.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We used to make soap in there. And then before that, it was an A&P. And on the other side of the railroad was a American store, which at that time, we had no freezers or anything like that sort. We had to have ice delivered every other day. And we would go down there and buy fresh meat because we had no place to store it. In fact, everybody in the town, that's what made it a town, because every day the mail would come in on the train. You could down and buy meat. This floor was full of sawdust, and one side was the meat, the other side was produce. And you pick out what you want, and then they put it on the counter. And the paper store at that time was Albrecht's. And I used to deliver papers for them with a fellow by the name of Bobby Claremont. And he used to hang on the running board of the car, and we'd go up and down the streets throwing papers. The people complain about they don't get them on their steps. We used to throw them right through the windows more than once.
Oh my gosh.
But
and how much did you get paid?
I can't remember.
No, okay.
My first job was at Stack's Greenhouses, which I got 10 cents an hour.
Okay.
And then it worked its way down, I think, over years.
Yeah, right.
But I also
of course, that was right next door to you. The Stack's Greenhouses were...
Stack's Greenhouse. Stack's were one of my neighbors, Mallory's, Ashbacks, Brumbacks, Cassia's, on up the other way, Haynes, and of course the mansion across the street where the telephone company is, and Stacks. And behind us was the people by the name of Miller, who had chickens and a little farm right there. And we bought fruit, or not fruit, but vegetables and eggs. And looking out the front door of our house, we could see all the way through the next street where you live, because there was nothing there.
Right.
I think the house next to you was Hannum.
Yes.
And Freed's, and a couple other places. And of course, back then too, the roads were nothing but dirt, including the White Horse Pike. And we'd sit there on the hill this weekends and count cars coming up from the shore and see how many of them could make it. And then you took care of your own street, and twice a year they used to scrape the streets to take the ruts out, because everybody dumped their ashes from their coal out in the street to fill up the so-called potholes. And you would take whatever oil you had from changing the oil in your car or whatnot and take care in front of your house, spreading oil in the street to keep the dust down. And of course, if you did that now, they'd lock you up.
Oh, yes, yeah, right.
But then everything was dirt.
Yeah, so it got absorbed, yeah.
Yeah, it was different.
Oh my gosh, that is
time.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
In the wintertime, Joe Streeton was the roads worker, I guess. He had a great big Y-shaped thing made out of wood that he'd pull behind the barrow truck or the fire truck, and didn't really plow the streets, it just flattened them out. Because back then we really had good snows. And then somebody would always come along with a car with about a 50-foot hunk of rope on it, and everybody would get their sleds out and they'd tow us all over town in one long line. And it was great.
Oh, I know. Oh my goodness, we
That's
pulled
what
by
made
the,
it a town.
Right, yeah. And you didn't have to worry about anybody getting hurt and,
Well,
you know?
if anybody got hurt, okay,
Yeah.
so what?
Yeah, right, it's true. They fell off the sled, so
Yeah,
what, yeah.
But we had a class reunion a while back, and it's amazing there was only a few left. And even at this now, half of these people are missing. And but it was really interesting to come back to the school. They welcomed us into the school, and because no matter what I do, I look back and it looks so big, but yet when you go back, it's so small.
Right, right. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I find that too, yeah.
Yeah.
When I go back, it's like so small, yeah.
Yeah.
And you already did that one, so.
We had all kinds of stores downtown. We had the Joe Maloney,
Shoemaker.
Shoe repair.
Right.
Because back then you didn't buy shoes, you had them repaired, soles or heels. And then next to him was the post office, where each evening when the train came in, you waited for the postmaster to sort the mail so he could find out whether you got any mail, or back then you listened to the radio, and I used to listen to I don't know, Dick Tracy, and he used to have a ring that you could wear that had all kind of numbers on it, and each night on the radio he would give out a secret message, and then you would take your decoder ring and figure out what he said.
Oh my goodness.
And then you'd get things in the mail, and I was always look forward to them. Because my dad came home from Philadelphia every night on the train. Because at that time there was no bridge. And he'd bring home a big bag of hot peanuts from Philly. And it was, everybody would be downtown waiting for the train. Of course, in the wintertime, up a ways there was a bridge high bridge that the train went under, and we always used to throw snowballs at the train, and also sled off the bridge
Right.
down to the lake.
Oh, okay.
And that was good on Park Avenue also, down past Davison's, to sled down Park Avenue right onto the lake. And everybody that lived along the lake in the wintertime would put all their furniture and everything away, because we'd go out scavenging for whatever would burn for a bonfire.
Oh, oh, okay.
And
Okay. Yeah, very good, yeah. They lost a few lawn ornaments and lawn
Yes.
chairs, yeah.
So they soon learned just to put everything away. So
And you were quite involved in the fire company, right?
yes, I started in the fire company as a junior fireman, and at that time the war was going on, and we had and we were all part of the civilian defense, and then later on when I came back, I was part of the regular fire company. I used to drive they had a ladder truck, which to start it either had to crank it or push it out down the hill and get it in gear and get it started.
And what year was that? Like around after the war, right?
50s.
50s? Okay.
Yeah. And then we, of course, now today, I can't imagine what the inside of the fire company looks like, because it's all modern.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
They should take you for a
that's
tour.
progress.
Yeah, they should take you for a tour, yeah.
I'm sorry.
They should take you for a tour. The fire company, yes.
I'd enjoy that.
Right. Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
And were you involved in decorating the bank?
Oh, yes. Anybody was involved in decorating the bank. We scavenged everything we could find. Over where the county college is now used to be a sort of a farm, and they had all kind of stuffed animals over there. And we used to go over there and borrow the animals, stuffed animals, and we didn't destroy anything. We just piled it on the bank because it was something to do.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody did it.
Right.
And nobody got locked up because we always returned everything afterwards. But it was part of growing up.
Yes.
I went to the St. Paul's Church. I still have my cradle roll from 1926.
Oh my gosh.
That was different also. In the back of the church was a big room, and it was had a dirt floor because the water level in the back of the church was so high you couldn't put a floor in there. We used to play games at night in there, and in fact the water level everywhere in Laurel Springs was high at that time. And in back of my mother-in-law's home on Broadway, and the church behind that, everything was flooded. It was like a swamp, and they drilled holes down through the marl into there's an underground creek that runs from there all the way down to the lake.
Right.
And they drilled holes through that and put an explosive and blew holes in it. And ever since then it's been dry.
Oh my gosh.
So it must have drained into the creek.
Right.
And down to the lake.
Sure.
But until then it was a lake.
Right. How about 4th of July celebrations?
They were great. Picnics, games, dinners. As I said, we decorate everything. We had big parades. Then we all met at Alexander's afterwards for a picnic. And then we'd all end up over in Hidden Lake, which it's the dam still there, but no lake. And everybody had a locker, and if you walk from Laurel Springs over there, and people would pick you up, or you rode your bike. And as I say, it was a great time.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have 2 children who are?
Yes, I have 2 children. One is Bob Jr., who lives in Tennessee. And then I have Patricia, who now lives near where we are, which is a great help to us. Because if she didn't call us every day, we knew something would be wrong. So it's great. We used to, we tell our kids about it, what we used to do, and they really just say, oh, yeah. And behind us, of course, at that time was the Rexon's farm. You could see from Laurel Springs to Stratford. And we used to go out there and hit golf balls, and then the farmer would run us off because he didn't want the cows eating the golf balls. But now it's all apartments, and you can't see past the road.
I know, yeah. Even with, what Thomason Farm up here, on our street, Fairmount,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, you could see right to the pike, but.
We used to, where the, next to Masonic Hall, there was nothing there at all. And in the summertime, we had when I belonged to the Scouts, and they had 2 great big tents, and we'd camp there.
Oh.
We all had cots, and we'd camp there in the summertime. And of course, one night the Laurel Beverage, which is down on the pike, caught fire, and that was the biggest thing around at that time. Across the street was Siebold's gas station, where Bud Myers, better known to me as Bucket, used to work, and you could buy a soda for 5 cents. And
And was the scout leader from town?
yes, but unfortunately I can't remember back that
Right,
far.
yeah, right. I was just wondering, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because, it's wonderful
Yes.
that you were
Yes.
able to camp there.
Yes.
Yeah. And any favorite town memories?
Just the comparing to then and now, the family, the peacefulness, you could hug somebody, you could kiss somebody, you could talk to somebody, you could cut across their lawns, you could walk down the street, and you were just part of town. And it hurts when you see today
Right.
what goes on, but that's not history.
No, yeah.
Today won't be history.
No. Not in the least, yeah. Do you know anybody, and if you have any names of anybody from the war that I haven't contacted?
In town?
Yeah, in town, yeah.
No, just Dick Alexander is the only one in Cotter, I believe.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. Of course, there was many at that time. They had what they call Bachelor's Club, and it was started up in the building started up in the middle of town, and it was moved down to across from Stafford's farm, and then they finally moved it out to Warwick Road. And my wife and I, after our first child was born, we lived in it because I worked on the farm. I did baled hay, milked the cows, bottled the milk, delivered the milk, delivered the feed. At that time, they had feed bags made out of all kind of fancy material, and when you went to each farm to deliver the feed, the woman would come out and say, I want that one or that one, because they'd be either making curtains or a dress or something else out of the feed bags.
Oh.
So that's when Laurel Mills, the mill was down there, which we used to grind the feed and whatnot. And of course then, for all my years up until I went into service, we drank raw milk. But now you can't drink raw milk, they say. But I grew up on raw milk, and so far I'm still here. So.
Yes. Wonderful.
but we had, my wife and I, as I say, we used to grind, make our own ice cream and whatnot.
Yes,
That was part of growing up.
right. Fun part.
Yep. And of course, we knew a lot of people. The mayors, we used to go there and play, what did we play? Cards.
Canasta.
Canasta. And all the kids,
Yeah, we had
you take
fun.
your kids to the house because we'll all go to bed, and nobody complained. And if you went out to the movies, you went to drive-in and took all the kids. And life went on.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, it did.
Yes.
We had good memories. We really did. Yeah. Anything else that you can think of? I think you really did a fabulous job. I'll tell you. I
Think
learned
so.
a lot. I learned
Did
a
you
lot.
learn a lot?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
About the war that I didn't know about. Yeah.
yes, the war was interesting.
All that you did in the war. Yeah.
Many things. They could talk forever on the war.
Right. Yes.
And like I say, I'm a lucky person. I came home with no injuries or problems of any what sort, which a lot of people have. Lots of things.
Good.
So
Thank you.
I
We
thank
enjoyed
you for
having
this
you.
opportunity.
Yes. I mean, it's. Where do you see the CD?
I still hope I'm here for the
Yes.
to see
Centennial? Yes. We're
Centennial.
going to be planning something once a month, so there'll be different things for every month.
Okay,
Yeah. So
that'd be very nice.
thank you.
I thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay.